Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu, and I'm back with another episode of Road to Revival. So we got a couple of new and interesting cards this week, and yeah, let's just get into it. The first card is Shadow Dragon Rebuddy. So Shadow Dragon, his whole gimmick was the fact that you could run as many of him as you want in a deck, and the new Shadow Dragon Rebuddy also counts as Shadow Dragon, so you could use a combination between both the normal Shadow Dragon and the Rebuddy version, so you could get both of their effects. But the fact that Shadow Dragon got a Rebuddy is a pretty interesting thing, and he's looking to be pretty okay. So what the card is doing is, if this card is in the soul of a Shadow Dragon, it gets plus 5,000 power, plus 5,000 defense, and the abilities of all cards on the field or in the soul can't be nullified by the opponent's card effects. So he's just acting as a little bit of extra protection, and the buffs do stack per copy of Shadow Dragon Rebuddy. So he's just looking to be very basic and an easy auto-include, so that way you kind of have a mix of Shadow Dragons in your deck. The next card is Disaster Palace. So this card is actually kind of bonkers for a couple of different reasons. So just one thing to note is you can only use it if your world is Danger World, Legend World, Darkness Dragon World, or Dragon Ein. So no Dragons Y, just Dragon Ein. What the card is doing is counter, draw a card, just on default before you even do anything. You just draw a card. And then you can only cast this once per turn. You could either stand all items on your field, or for this turn, all cards on your opponent's field can't link attack. So obviously this is more catering towards the sword build of Dragon Ein, where Kyoya is using both of his swords, and both of those effects are really good for that. But I'm looking at the applications in other worlds. So Danger World gets a new card that just says draw a card. That's generic, which they really need. And then the fact that in Legend World, you could stand all of your items is really scary in Levitain, because obviously you're going to have like a whole bunch of items out and equipped instead of monsters in play, and the fact that you could just stand all of them after they've already attacked at counter speed is really bonkers. But the other ability is also pretty good in Levitain and Dragon Ein sword build. They both have swords that require the opponent to link attack. It's just looking to be a very solid card. I don't exactly know what it's going to be doing in Darkness Dragon World. It doesn't really feel like it's going to be doing much of anything. Like, both of the effects are like just generically okay, but in Darkness Dragon World, it doesn't really seem like it's going to have as much application. But Danger World gets another card that just says draw card, and then obviously Legend and Ein is where the card is really going to shine. Next, we have Illusionist of Shadowform Silhouette Joe Rebuddy, and this is actually a really good card for Shadow Shades. So its call cost is put this card on top of a size 2 or greater Shadow Shade on your field and pay 2 gauge. Then at the start of the attack phase, put up to a total of 2 monsters or spells from your drop zone into its soul, and if you put more than 1, you gain a life and draw a card, which is okay. The big important thing is the fact that he's refilling his soul. And then what's really powerful is his counteract ability. During the attack phase, drop any number of cards from this card's soul, and if you do, you deal damage equal to the amount dropped. And what's really important is this ability is not once per turn, so you can like have a bit of a machine gun effect where you're just going to ping the opponent, and you could really easily bait out a Grace, and if they don't have Grace, then you just dump and kill them. So this card's just really solid, and definitely a huge upgrade to Shadow Shades. Next, we have Nanomachine Ninja Byakuya Rebuddy. So Tsuchikage already had a Rebuddy, so we were just waiting to see when Byakuya was going to get his Rebuddy, and we finally have it. So the first thing to note is he has Shadow Dive. That's kind of just Byakuya's thing. He's always kind of had Shadow Dive. And then he has another ability. If a card with Tsuchikage or Gojimaru is on your field, this card gets plus 10,000 power and plus 3 crit. And then he has a counteract ability, Nanomachine Clone Extermination. During your turn, you could basically discard a Ninja or Ninja Arts card from your hand if you do stand this card. So that's really powerful because if the opponent isn't equipped with the adequate defenses, he alone can hit for 8 critical damage. Shadow Dived. So that's just pretty decent. The unfortunate thing is, so far, I haven't seen anything that really makes ninjas super viable, like, compared to the other ninja cards that they had. This is just, like, a good increase in power, but ninjas is still kind of one of the weaker decks, and yeah. But outside of that, this card's just pretty solid with the sheer amount of critical that it provides. Then the last card we got spoiled from this set for the week is Dragon Lamp Shining in the Corners. So this card is absolutely nuts. It is a auto include in every single Ancient World deck that I can possibly think of because it's just that good. So what it does is you pay 1 gauge and drop a hand card, and then you get to basically search for a size 0 and a size 3 and put them into your hand. And then you can only cast this once per turn. So Ancient World is basically nothing but size 3s and size 0s. Link Dragon Order is really the only Ancient World deck that's really utilizing size 1s. But even then, they still have a size 3 and a size 0 that you could still search. This card is just absolutely bonkers and an easy auto-include into every single Ancient World deck. And then we got a couple of new promos that came out of Japan. So we got more Guardians support in the form of Perpetual Envy, Elixiel Rebuddy. So this is a very, very solid card in Guardians and probably an easy auto-include in the deck. So what it does is, if 4 or less cards are in your drop zone, all Guardians on your field can't be destroyed, can't be rested, and their abilities can't be nullified by your opponent's card effects. It adds a lot of the needed protection that Guardians were lacking, so that's what makes it really an easy auto-include. On top of which, it has another ability. At the start of your attack phase, if you have 2 or less cards in your drop zone, all Guardians on your field get plus 10,000 power, plus 1 crit, and double attack. It's just adding a lot of additional power to the deck on top of a lot of the needed protection that it was lacking before. So, very solid promo card. And then, obviously, we can't have a new Guardians card without a new Executioner card. So, we got the promo Executioner card that was shown was Tempest Jailer Helle Cougar Rebuddy. So, if 10 or more cards are in your drop zone, all cards on your field can't be destroyed or can't be rested by your opponent's card effects. Then if 20 or more are in your drop zone, this card's attack can't be nullified if it's attacking alone and its damage can't be reduced. Just more protection added for Executioners, and it's pretty solid, but it has the added ability of when this card attacks and destroys an opponent's monster or deals damage to the opponent, if there are 10 or more cards in the drop zone, you gain 2 life and draw a card. So it's just being a fairly simple and straightforward card. Nothing too over the top. They already got like their protection card, but this is just another protection card, and it's just looking to be a pretty solid inclusion in the deck. And then they got another promo of Fallen Demon Lord Rucifiel Rebuddy. So I was just kind of waiting for this one to get announced because Asmodai got a Rebuddy, and it only made sense that his friend, who is prominent in the show when he was around, it was just obvious that he was going to get one. So what's interesting is just what he does. The gauge cost written on this card is reduced by 1 for each 72 pillar on your field. So he could potentially cost a lot less. Hopefully he's only going to cost 1 gauge, depending on how your setup goes. But his initial call cost is 4 gauge, and then you put the top 2 cards of your deck into its soul. And then if a card with Asmodai is on your field, this card size is reduced by 3, fairly standard, so he's actually just a size 0. And then he has a counteract ability, Time Rewind. So you may drop a 72 pillar card from your hand. If you do, return all cards from your opponent's field to their hand, and all 72 pillars on your field get plus 10,000 power, plus 10,000 defense, and you can only use this once per turn. Then he's got Move, Penetrate, Quadruple Attack, and Soul Guard. The whole bounce thing isn't what's really relevant about Time Rewind. Like, in certain aspects, it could matter. It's more or less you're looking for the power buff, and then he just has quadruple attack. So he's just a very simple card. I don't know exactly how good he's going to be in 72 Pillars, but he's definitely interesting, and probably the most important thing about the card is the fact that he has quadruple attack. That's pretty sad, but it's just kind of interesting on what he's doing. The whole bounce board wipe thing is kind of neat, but there's so much protection against bounce and destruction that I don't know if it matters. And then, oh boy, the last promo we got is Thunder Knight's leader, Commander Fahne, Rebuddy. So we got another Thunder Knights card, and what he does is, the first thing is he adds the necessary protection for Thunder Knights. So all of your Thunder Knights can't be destroyed, bounced, or their abilities can't be nullified. That's pretty important, considering we need to use their move ability, and if that gets shut down, then kind of the deck gets shut down. But he also has another ability. When a monster on your field moves for this turn, all cards with Thunder Knights in their name get plus 10,000 power, plus 10,000 defense, plus 2 crit, penetrate, and double attack. And then you can only use that once per turn. That's just a lot of additional power, and it's an auto include in Thunder Knights because we were already running a card similar to this where it just prevented destruction and nothing else. So you basically just replace that card with this card, and you're good to go, because Thunder Knights has a set impact that basically reduces the size of your Thunder Knights by 1. So running him isn't necessarily going to be an issue, even though he's a size 2, and he's just looking to be a very powerful, easy auto-include in Thunder Knights. And for those who don't know, I do have a updated Thunder Knights deck, and you could feel free to check that one out if you're curious to see what Thunder Knights is currently doing. But as I said, this is just an easy auto-include in Thunder Knights, and Thunder Knights is looking to be a little bit better than they were before, because before they were just kind of not really doing a whole lot. Regardless, this definitely helps increase the natural power of Thunder Knights. But unfortunately, all 4 of those cards are promos, and I don't know exactly where they're going to go. So hopefully they are like box topper, like we get a box topper pack with them, because I have no idea how they're going to release it with events being limited, which means promo distribution is going to be limited. So I just don't really know where these cards are going to end up. I still don't even know where the previous Rebuddy promos are going to end up that we don't have. That's just one thing to note, is they got announced or shown, and I have no idea if English is going to get them, because right now there's just a ton of promos that the Japanese have that the English doesn't. So it just is what it is. But I think that they were worth talking about nonetheless, because they did get spoiled this week, and they all are Rebuddies, even though they're not going to be in the Rebuddy set. Unless they're prox toppers. But that is neither here nor there. So that's all of the cards that got announced / spoiled this week. I will be back next week for the next episode, so feel free to leave a comment down below on your thoughts of this week's cards, or where you're hoping to see those promos end up. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next video.